Hello and welcome to Teach Talk for the Fine Arts. I am your host, Sarah Knoll. I'm super excited for today's episode. I have my friend Roman Runyon on here from Concord University. He is a year ahead of me, and so we went to school together for 3 years. He has certainly helped me through a lot of struggles, music and personal related, so I'm super excited to have him on. We're going to be talking about how COVID has affected him and also his musical journey from where he started to where he is now. Without further ado, let's get into the episode. Alrighty. Roman, introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Roman Runyon. I am a percussionist. I have my master's degree in music education, got that from Liberty University, and my bachelor's came from Concord University with interdisciplinary studies, emphasis in music and sociology. I've had quite a bit of experience doing music outside of the education field, such as being paid to perform at churches and colleges, and also I was a judge for 2 years for the Pike County all-area percussion auditions. So I've had a pretty good run so far, but due to recent events, all of my successes have kind of let's just say they've been postponed.
Yes.
So, yes.
Yes. So what is your current gig at the moment?
Currently, I am working as a part-timer / full-timer, depending on the week, or overtimer at Kroger. And at the same time, I'm trying to get my license to sell insurance. That way I can make more money because, working at Kroger is just not going to do it,
Yes.
So, and I'm struggling with that right now because, I'm engaged, I'm planning a wedding, I have other responsibilities. So that selling insurance might not even work out, so I may have to look for other options.
Yeah, hear that. Do you consider yourself tech savvy?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
I've had too much experience with that field, so yeah.
Yes. Alrighty. So before COVID, did you ever teach music online or take any lessons online or any sort of online music education?
Well, yeah, my entire grad school studies was all online.
Okay.
I watched the videos where the professors pre-record themselves giving the lecture, or they would just give us videos to watch, music to listen to, scores to read, etc. And it's very helpful. It really is. I don't personally have any experience with teaching online yet, but I don't see it as being a too, difficult task to do. But then again, like I said, I haven't done it. So, but it's something I'd be willing to try. However, I do believe there are limitations on that. Like, for example, I don't know how you're going to teach a whole band class online because, normally a band class is a performance-based class. So with the whole COVID thing and, social distancing and all that, how are we going to have these performances? How are we going to make these students better musicians while, doing online teaching? Because to me, giving personal lessons is a lot better face-to-face.
Oh, yeah.
I've had one experience taking lessons online. I was actually learning guitar from this guy online, and I just bought a subscription to watch all of his lessons. And while he is a good teacher, I can't have him there to tell me you're strumming the guitar wrong or your technique is off, etc. So
Right.
yeah, so I haven't practiced guitar for a while because I don't feel myself progressing enough. I've watched all the videos, and I'm pretty decent. I consider myself an amateur now, but I'm not getting any better anymore because he's not there to lead me.
Yes.
So while there are benefits to online education, there are definitely some cons, and I don't know if it'd be worth it.
Right. So for your master's degree, what software did you have to record anything to send in, and what software did they use? Did they use Zoom, like anything like that?
Well, no, I didn't have to use Zoom, but yeah, which class was it? It was graduate conducting. Um, we had to record ourselves several times conducting certain scores or conducting for a local high school band, and we didn't have to use Zoom or anything. I actually had a camera to record myself conducting, but
Hmm.
and there was another assignment that I had to do for my final where I had to give like a 5 to 7 minute video description of the piece that I was conducting. And I didn't have to use Zoom. I just had to use a webcam, save it as a video file, and send it to my professor. So
Okay.
Liberty was very flexible with what we used.
That's good. So it was more like lecture based?
Yeah, lecture based / do it yourself based. Like
Okay.
she would give us like a guide, you could say,
Hmm.
with her lessons, but then she'll say, okay, now go out there and do it yourself. And we'd send her the videos and she would, critique us.
Okay. Word. Uh, so were you teaching when COVID hit in any way?
I was about to.
Okay.
Yeah, I worked at a facility before COVID happened where I tried to turn kids who should be in jail into productive members of society.
Hmm.
But due to mental health issues, my doctor recommended I left that position. So I heeded the doctor's advice and left earlier than expected. But after I left, I did find an opportunity at Music and Arts in Charleston. I was supposed to be a sales associate and give private lessons for middle school, high school students. But after I got my interview and after I was told I was pretty much going to get the job, that's when COVID hit West Virginia.
Hmm.
It could not have happened at a worse time, because I remember calling the next week and asking, when do I start? And he said, well, due to COVID, the store is going to be closed for a bit. And I think they've opened up now. Last time I checked, they opened up, but they're not hiring because it affected the business really badly.
I bet.
Yeah, so that they can't afford to, hire me anymore.
Okay. Do you know anything about if they're doing lessons now, like virtual lessons?
Not really.
Okay. So what do you think next year or your next teaching gig looks like for you post-COVID?
Well, I'm not really too confident in post-COVID at the moment.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, the fact is, I don't know if that's going to exist for a long time, because it's only getting worse, and it'll continue to get worse until, we start taking this a lot more seriously than we are.
Yes.
But say that, hypothetically speaking, that there is a post-COVID, I am hoping that, schools will open up, things go back to normal, and I don't see myself being at Music and Arts anymore, obviously. I would love to be in either a high school band position or a college professor. That's my main goal.
Hmm.
But where I will be, I don't know. I've looked in positions North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, Kentucky, and it's very limiting right now, because I actually had a job interview last month for a school called Jenkins Elementary, and it was in Hickory, North Carolina, and I had they had like four other people for the job interview. So either I didn't get it, they beat me out, or they just decided not to hire due to COVID. Because I know in their interview they said that they may not take anybody because schools might still be closed in North Carolina. Because I know North Carolina, it's really, really bad right now.
Yeah.
So now that I said that, I think West Virginia would probably be where I would stay, because I think we're still like the least worst out of all the states. Last time I checked, I'm not sure on that, but I think we have the least number of cases.
Hmm.
My fiance and I were talking about moving out of the state, but we may have to stay. I actually did apply for a position in Charleston, so
Oh,
yeah, to be determined on that.
well, good luck.
Thank
I
you.
know in Logan County, I think they're doing half online, half in person, but then there's also an option to do completely online. So music education, I feel like it's always been on the back burner. Like a lot of school districts are like, good luck. Sports are better, and then colleges are the same way. Do you think COVID will impact that anymore negatively?
Yes, I think it will. I don't know if anyone will see music as a quote unquote useless subject, even though it's not.
Oh yeah,
Without music, we wouldn't have culture. That's a fact.
yes,
But um, but yeah, it will definitely affect it because say marching band, for example. Marching band involves walking around the field, whether you're spread out or close together. So if you have like a big band, say like let's just use Marshall University as an example. They have a big band, right? So how are you going to make those formations with that many people 6 feet apart? You can't. Well, you probably could, but they would probably just be like marching in the lines, and it doesn't look as exciting. So marching band, I think, would be definitely being taking a huge hit on that. Concert band, I remember seeing a friend of ours. He actually posted a photo of how Texas was doing it, where I think it was Texas, where each student was spread out like 6 feet apart. And if he had to do that, where he's got like, I think over 100 kids,
yeah,
he doesn't have enough room for that.
yeah,
And there are smaller bands out there, or actually, I should say this, a medium-sized band with a small band room. I actually used to go to a high school like that.
mm-hmm.
If that happens, there's not enough room. So either they would have to share a football field or something, basketball court, somewhere that's bigger. So I think it's definitely going to like take a big hit on music, but I think it's going to take a big hit on sports as well. I mean,
Yeah,
sports take a lot of physical contact, so they're both going to go down, but I don't see it helping people realize, oh, music is important, In fact, they may
yeah.
even think it can be more deadly.
My classes, I was teaching choir, and it turned from them singing every day to watching a YouTube video and doing 3 to 5 sentences about what you thought of it. So it's just like, that's not what this is. This is not what this should be at all.
Yeah, exactly. I remember when I was teaching at a middle school, I think it was in 2017. No, it was 2018, I think. The principal wanted me to take them to the gymnasium, all the way up the bleachers, and try to teach them that way. But the thing is, I needed a piano for a choir
Mm-hmm.
so I could give them their pitches.
Yeah.
And the reason why he wanted to do it was personal reasons. But while I did understand his point of view, I took the risk and I just kept them in the band room, and we had a really good concert.
Mm-hmm.
I did, my best as a piano accompanist. I hardly have any experience in piano, but
Yeah.
I mean, they did a lot better at singing than I did play piano. So,
That's fine.
to me, it was a success, and it was a high risk, high reward thing.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, I agree that just watching videos, just singing a cappella without a piano to help the students, especially those who are just starting choir, it doesn't help.
Yes.
They need that face to face, that person telling them, hey, you're not breathing properly, or you're not dropping your jaw enough when you sing the ah vowel.
Mm-hmm.
They need that, because I mean, they could watch all that online, just like I did with the guitar,
Yeah.
and they could be like, okay, I get it, and they'll get better, but eventually that's going to stop. And
Yes.
yeah, exactly. And like I said, it's just exactly what happened when I was learning how to play guitar. My technique is shot. I don't know what I'm doing, and I need someone face to face.
Yeah. My last year at Concord was Skype lessons, and it worked. Like, I graduated and everything, but it was nothing compared to like in person. Like, I did end up buying like a condenser microphone and audio interface, which helped, but it was nothing compared to in person. So I feel like I kind of lost a little bit of instruction.
Well, yeah, I lost a lot of that momentum.
Yes. Tell me your story. Let them know you.
Okay, so, gosh, where did it begin? It began when I lived in Pike County, Kentucky, actually. I was about to go into the sixth grade, and when I was in elementary school, I played sports. I played a lot of basketball throughout like first through fifth grade, played football fourth and fifth grade. But the thing was, I did that so I could fit in, because in Pike County, Kentucky, sports are huge.
Mm-hmm.
Belfry High School has like one of the best football teams in the state, and I wanted to fit in. But when I was in sixth grade, I knew that my father got a job in Charleston, West Virginia, and we were going to be transferring. So I didn't want to do something that took like a lot of commitment. Plus, I was a fat kid, so I just gave up.
Yeah.
But my friend at the time, one of my best friends at the time, he told me about band. And I said, okay, fine, I'll do that. But it was one of those things where he didn't like peer pressure me. He was just like, hey, you should do this. And I said, okay. So I jumped on that, and we got to pick our instruments. Well, I picked the bassoon at first.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. The reason why I picked the bassoon, though, it was just because it was the biggest instrument. And I thought, well, if I have the biggest instrument, like woodwind instrument, I would look so cool. Just having this big bazooka. And, well, the short of it, it got stolen somehow.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, I had to spend the few months I was at Belfry Middle School, like just sitting there and listening to the teacher and watching them play because my instrument got stolen. Well, my friend was playing drums, the percussion, and he said, you should talk her into letting you at least do that. That way you're doing something. Plus, let me tell you, dude, drums are so cool. Everyone's going to think you're awesome. And, of course, because he was my friend, I was like, okay. And she wouldn't let me do it. So I finally moved to Winfield Middle School. And there I got a percussion instrument. And I decided to continue with what my friend told me to do, is drums.
Mm-hmm.
I had to basically teach myself how to read music for a bit because I was a little far behind. And basically I got threatened to be kicked out of band if I don't try something soon. So I was pushing myself because I wanted to be good at something. And then when I heard about the chair positions, first chair, second chair, third chair, all that jazz.
Mm-hmm.
And the chair positions are basically like how good you are compared to the others. It turned into a competition. So me being very competitive at everything, I decided, okay, I'm going to practice. I'm going to be better just to prove that I'm better than everyone else. Like I was that cocky kid that had to be better. And no matter how hard I tried my first year in band, I always got second or third chair because the band director at the time was very fond of two students and they were really good.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to struggle and claw my way. I only got like first chair once. And then the rest of the time it was just like, well, you're second or third. Seventh grade year rolls around, and that's when like the seventh and the eighth grade students kind of like merged into one band at Winfield. Mm-hmm. And I had bigger competition. And I, again, clawed my way. And I always got second chair because there's this other kid who was fantastic. He was in the eighth grade, and he always beat me. And I got so mad because I could never beat him. And I ended up beating him at the end of the year, but that's because he was a smart kid and he was really busy, and I just took advantage of that. I feel like that if he had more time, he still would have beat me. Then 8th grade year rolls around, and that's when the competition dwindled. And I made first chair every time there was an audition. It felt awesome. I went undefeated, and that's because I had to struggle. I had to work my way through that because I was way behind.
Yes.
But then high school started rolling around, and I was being bullied. Actually, I was bullied in middle school too for liking bands so much because I was really passionate about it by then. I ended up falling in love with it for more than just competition. And I tried to ignore all the comments. There was actually a part of me that wanted to quit for a bit, but my high school band director at the time was, reminding me, you're a very talented kid. We need you here. Don't let what others say affect that. So I just tuned them out, started doing what I was, what I'm good at. And when I was playing the xylophone really fast, I was playing really fast notes in a freshman year in high school, that's when I realized that this is what I was meant to do, because I kept getting so many comments from the band parents, from the band directors. But then what really struck me, those are my very first marching band competition. Gosh, that's when I realized I was not as good as I thought. So we were at I forgot what the name of the school was, but there was only 2 bands in the class, in that marching class. We lost in every category except field commander. Our field commander won, but we lost percussion, we lost color guard, we lost overall band, marching, music. We lost it all. And our percussion score was the lowest out of even the schools below our class beat us. It was sad. And I was one of the prime reasons why that was, because the way I was holding my mallets was off. Like I said, I had to teach myself.
Yeah.
So because of the low percussion score, my band director at the time hired this really good percussionist, and I have a lot to thank him for. And within a week, he was able to fix how I held my mallets, and my playing has never felt fluid until I got to Concord University, of course. But after learning from him and taking private lessons with him, I got a lot better. And that's when I realized, okay, well, I can always get better. Then 10th grade, once again, we hit that standstill because that same percussion teacher was more focused on the battery than he was the pick. And that's where I was in high school. So I was at that standstill again because I barely got coached. Then I found out my dad got a job, and he moved to Bluefield, West Virginia, but we lived in Princeton. And from there, I went to Princeton High School, where I ended up graduating. And I was amazed with the band, because I was from a medium-sized band that did pretty good in competitions, but we didn't win anything, to a really big high school band who got grand champion at Marshall in 2009, I think it was. No, 2008 and 2010. And I loved being with that band, not just because, winning competitions, but when I showed the band director at the time what I could do, she was very encouraging. She wanted me to get better. She made sure I got better throughout all those years. She made sure there was competition. She'd even look at me and say, hey, everyone's looking at Cabell Midland's pit. Try to be better than them. So I would literally watch Cabell Midland's pit just to see how good they are and see what I can do to make myself better. And on top of that, my friends were being encouraging too. Winfield, I got made fun of, but in Princeton, it was kind of weird because I went from being bullied and not being paid attention to, oh, look, it's the new kid. Here, come talk to us. And you have to think, Princeton's a bigger band. So all these kids were trying to pull me. They're like, no, I want to talk to the new kid. No, I want to talk to the new kid. It was a very scary environment, but but it was because of them that I went from being an introvert to an extrovert.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they kept asking me questions about myself, and they allowed me to open up. And I'm so grateful my dad got that job, because I just kept getting better and better. Well, senior year happened, and I still have not made, I didn't make All-State yet. And I was so mad because my junior year, I practiced the wrong piece. And I could have sworn that if I practiced the right piece that year, I would have made All-State, but I really wanted that. So Miss Cade was like, well, what helps other students is taking private lessons. So that's when she introduced me to a student from Concord University at the time. And this guy, he coached Phantom Regiment. That's how good he was. So for the rest of my senior year in high school, every week I took lessons with him. It was expensive, but it was so worth it in the end. And because of that, I got second chair All-State Orchestra my senior year. Yeah, it was a very amazing result. I have a lot to thank him for too. And once again, that tells me I can still get better. Like, when I think I can't get any better, I end up getting better. But then again, I was a teenager, so of course I was a cocky kid.
Mm-hmm.
Then because he went to Concord University, and he told me about, Casey Cangelosi, he was like pulling me there. He's like, hey, you should go here and learn under this guy. I was like, okay, sure.
Right.
So I of course I go to Concord, to learn under Casey Cangelosi. And I feel like to this day, I kind of took him for granted.
I did too. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like my junior year, I feel like I picked it up, but I think it's because we knew he was leaving, and I really wanted to, spend a lot of time with him, not just as a instructor, but as a friend.
Yes.
And I really picked up on his lessons. And I remember when I did my junior recital, the very first thing he said was, that was the best you've ever sounded. And hearing that just made me think, okay, this is all worth it.
Yeah.
But going back to freshman year, though, I'm getting a little sidetracked.
You're good.
I was still cocky. I had the mentality like, I need to be better than everyone else. But my sophomore year, after talking to one of our good friends, he basically set me straight and said, you can't just have this attitude that you have to be better than everyone else. Do it for you. Don't make this too much of a competition. But that's what I was used to, was competition, because I didn't make All-State band. I really wanted to beat all those kids in middle school. So my mentality was, okay, everything's a competition. But he taught me that there's such thing as a friendly competition, especially I think it was the second semester of my sophomore year. That's when Cangelosi made those mock auditions. I don't know if you were there for that.
I was there. I didn't participate though.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. You didn't participate. But and that's when the friendly competition lesson kind of started.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't end up winning that one, but at the same time I was like, he deserved it. And I wasn't upset.
Yeah.
And that shows me how much I grew up, because especially from freshman to sophomore year, because I wasn't upset that I lost, because I hate losing.
Yeah.
Still to this day, I hate losing, but I've come to accept it a lot more. Then junior year rolls around, I hear Cangelosi's leaving, and I felt like that my reasons for being at Concord University were just going away. But he did talk to me. He was reminding me that I still have amazing professors I can learn under. Dr. Ball, Dr. Mainland.
Yes.
On the music faculty at Concord University in general were fantastic.
Yes.
I mean, I had just as much fun learning under Dr. Ball and Mainland as I did Cangelosi. And to this day, I still keep in touch with Dr. Ball every now and then. My senior year rolls around, and the percussion teacher we had, Scott Christian.
Yes.
Great teacher. But he wasn't around a lot, which is understandable.
Yes.
He's already a full-time, I think he's full-time at West Virginia State University, I believe it was.
Yes.
Plus he was timpanist for the West Virginia Orchestra. So he was a very busy man. Yes. And from there, I spent a lot of my time being the leader and just, coaching myself, because one of our friends he's older than us, but he was very busy because he was trying to get out of Concord University. And I felt like that, being the section leader in marching band, and just, I felt like I played a very important role. Like I was feeling that shoe when he was gone.
Mm-hmm.
But after I passed my senior recital, graduated from Concord University with a 3.85 GPA, that's when my confidence got boosted, and I felt like, you know what, I can be a college professor.
Yeah.
Like this has nothing to do, I promise, has nothing to do with being cocky. It's just me stepping up to the plate and not doing it for me, but doing it for, everybody.
Yeah.
But then I took a gap year. Long story short, I'm not going to go into too much detail on that. I just worked as a dishwasher. It was not exciting. And then spent the next less than 2 years, actually. I think it was about a year and a half. I got my master's degree from Liberty University. And the only thing that I would change is if I thought I could actually go there in person to learn under these professors, because I listened to their lectures and they are very, very good. And when I email them, they're really good at emailing back with very friendly critiques, nothing too harsh. It was really fun. And I learned so much more than I thought I would. Because, again, that gap year I was at that standstill, like we keep talking about, that little standstill.
Yes.
And then here comes my master's degree, my grad studies. Oh, well, there's music that uses completely different scales, and different pitches that we've never heard of.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many different styles of music out there that I was not exposed to. And I thought that when I was in undergrad, that I was being exposed to more, because beforehand, when I was in high school, I was thinking, okay, well, rock and metal, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, I got exposed to, the classical and romantic eras. I got exposed to jazz, blues, and I ended up loving jazz and blues.
Yes.
And I thought, okay, well, now my listening is diverse. And then I go to Liberty University, and they're like, hold my beer.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah, so I learned African music, Indonesian, Chinese, that basically eat a lot of Eastern stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I was overwhelmed. And it was ethnomusicology. That was the course was. That was one of my favorite courses.
Yeah.
Along with arranging. Now, when I took my arranging course, again, the professors being very encouraging. They were all being very encouraging of me. They were saying, "You're doing a fantastic job. Keep up the good work." And that's what it takes to be a good teacher, is encouragement. And if they're not doing well, just lead them the right way, but don't say you suck.
Oh yeah.
Liberty University was a really, really good experience. And when I visited the campus to complete my big project that basically said whether I got my degree or not, I was overwhelmed because the campus was huge. The buildings looked really, really nice. The people very welcoming. I was like, wow, this is oddly nice.
Yes.
So then, and then after I got my master's degree, while I was getting my master's degree, I was working at that facility that I told you about with all the kids who should be in jail.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I didn't get a job as soon as I got my degree was because I had made a commitment to that job, which is staying there for a year.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, I started this and might as well finish it. But then I had to leave early due to mental health issues.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at right now, COVID. So
COVID, yes.
Yeah, but I mean, in the midst of all the story too, I was trying to teach myself guitar, bass. I remember taking singing lessons. So I'm a little diverse, but I'm only an amateur guitar, amateur bass, amateur singing, but percussion, yeah, that's where I'm really, really good at.
Yeah.
And recently my uncle gave me an electric drum set so I can finally have something to practice on.
Yeah, I bought a used one recently and it's nice. It's one of the cheaper ones, but it's nice.
Yeah, that's what this was. I mean, he gave it to me for free, and when I played it, I was like, well, either I don't know how to use an electric set, which I probably don't, to be honest, because this is the first time I've ever touched it,
Mm-hmm.
or there's a reason why it's free. But at least I got something to practice on.
Yeah, the pads and stuff are just nice to have.
Yeah. As a side note, if you want to like get really good at drum set, play some Tool. They have
really?
the drummer Denny Carey, his coordination is off the wall. Like everyone calls him an octopus for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm trying to do right now. I'm trying to develop my coordination.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I kind of got out of playing for a while, so I'm trying to ease myself back in. It's kind of hard though, but this podcast has kind of been helpful because I'm talking to like my peers. So it's kind of re-inspired me, I guess you could say. So
awesome. Well, first of all, thank you. And second of all, what are you doing during these hard times?
I was working online through June, and now I'm just kind of trying to like build myself. Like I'm started this podcast, and I'm going to try to start posting more on YouTube and Instagram, just kind of stuff like that. Hi guys, popping in to tell you that I cut out a segment here for privacy reasons, but we start talking about Roman's previous job. So that is where we are now. Okay, continue.
My experience was miserable.
Yeah.
It was very physically demanding in the sense, well, I worked in the woods, so it was another reason why it's different. Physically demanding in a good way because you had to hike up like a mile up a hill like 5 times a day. I lost a lot of weight from it too. It was awesome. But also physically demanding bad because if, kids get in a fight, you have to restrain them. You might get hurt. I did get hurt a couple times actually trying to restrain a kid. And there's that one time where actually outside of restraint, actually, I hurt my leg permanently. So like when I do squats for exercises now, I have to be very careful with how I squat.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So like I said, your field's a lot different, so you may enjoy it, but my experience was no.
Yeah. I hope. Oof. Well, thing is, if you don't like a job, you can leave.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I had a commitment. I was trying to do it, but
Yeah.
the doctors, when I went for my physical checkup, they're saying, well, health-wise, you're great, like you're in healthy shape, you're doing good, but we took a look at your questionnaires, and you have really bad depression.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when they, I don't want to go into details because it's too personal, but
yeah, that's fine.
They're asking me questions that basically told me that I had PTSD
Mm-hmm.
probably from when I was being bullied, I assume. But they said that working at that facility was triggering those my stress and trauma, and that's the reason why I was having a lot of nightmares when I slept in the woods there. And they said that it'd be best if I just told them what's going on and just leave.
Yeah.
So they weren't happy, of course, but you got to take care of yourself.
Oh yeah, I agree 100%.
Right. Which the moral of the story: take care of yourself. Stay home.
Wear a mask.
Wear a mask, yes, please. So what about what made you start a band? I don't think you ever told me.
Honestly, I kind of wanted to do it in 6th grade, but when they made the announcement, I was just something I wanted to go, but I just didn't. And then in 9th grade, I was like, okay, I'm actually going to do this. And I wanted to play saxophone or clarinet at first, but then like the day before I ended up going to band, it was like, no, you want to play drums. And I knew that. So I started band in 9th grade. So I was behind too. So I had to learn how to read music and everything. And then that kind of kept going up until college where I was still learning how to read music. So I did okay though.
Well, yeah, I saw where you started from Concord to, where, at least from where I left, you came a long way.
Yeah.
You really did.
Thank you.
No problem. I only speak the truth, seriously.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Talking to you has really helped me, though, because, like, I've been dealing with this weird sense of, like, pride or cockiness. Like, if someone critiques my playing, I'm like, well, how dare you? Like, and I just get so, like, offended. So it's really helped to talk to someone that's, like, had experience.
Well, yeah, and if it helps, the one thing that I did love about working at that facility that I keep referring to is that it helps you mature a lot quicker because you have to deal with these kids. You have to be able to, keep a cool mind whenever they say F you and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I've always learned is, like, even the kids can, like, critique, like, saying, hey, when you're talking to us, make sure you're not raising your voice because it makes us feel insecure. And at first I was like, well, maybe you should be more disciplined. And one of the faculty was like, Mr. Runyon, calm down, So that's one thing I learned too. And I was the same way you was, well, I don't know if you still are this way, but, like, at Concord University, like, if one of the freshmen, I had senioritis bad. Like, I was a leader, but I had senioritis, admittedly. If, like, one of the freshmen was like, you're doing this wrong, I was like, oh, what? No, I'm not. You're doing this wrong.
Yeah.
And, but then, like, I learned through all these years, people are your best teacher.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter the experience or not. If they see you do something wrong and then you backfire at them, that makes them think they're wrong. It makes them feel stupid. But if you take a look at yourself and see, okay, let me hear what he's talking about. Right. Okay. And then you give them a pat on the shoulder and say, thank you for that. And they feel good about themselves. I mean, there are some people who do take it in the competition and they're like, well, yeah, so now I'm better than you. But there are some who are genuinely trying to help. And, and that goes back to me thinking my freshman and sophomore years in college, I felt really bad the more I think about it, because I feel like I take too much advantage of, or took him for granted, Casey Cangelosi.
Yeah.
And, if he was listening to this, I'd tell him, I'm really sorry for my freshman and sophomore years when I was cocky. Because, I mean, honestly, if it weren't for him, I would not be where I'm at right now. Or Dr. Paul or Dr. Mainland. Like, they were all, they're all fantastic. Everyone talks so bad about Concord University, but really the music staff there, so underrated. You will never find teachers like them.
Nope. I agree. Do you have anything to close up this podcast with?
Well, thank you for your time, and to all the viewers / listeners, whatever you're doing. Don't let these times, like, affect your time to practice. There's always a way to practice. I took drumsticks and played on my pillow before I got a drum pad and a drum set.
Yes.
There's also, if you can't practice, like, play, listen to something, analyze the music. Recently, I don't know what's going on with me. I've had an addiction to Tool, but not just because, I like rock and metal, because they're very different with how they do things, polyrhythms, polymeters. I've actually tried to find them now. Like, I'd be listening and be like, oh, in Fear Inoculum in this section, they're doing 7/16, 11/16, 11/8 at the same time. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Or, Dave Carey on Rosetta Stone is playing, like, offset 12/16 on two different hands while playing quarter notes with his left foot while playing 5/16 with his right foot. I'm still struggling to play that really cleanly. So there are ways to get better, but you have to do it yourself. If I can do it myself, you can do it yourself too. There's always room to improve. Listen, practice, and seek help. Those are, like, the three things I've had to do.
Sweet. And that is the end of today's episode. Thank you, Roman, for being on. I had a lot of fun, and I hope you did too. Thank you for sharing your experiences. I know they helped me, and I'm sure it'll help other people too. Thank you for listening to today's episode. Be sure to like and subscribe to this podcast for further episodes. I'm Sarah Knoll, and this has been Teach Talk for the Fine Arts.